Well, technically this game came out last year, but it came out on the 29th, basically New Year, so it was too late for 2015's games, so screw it, it's a 2016 game. Well, DLC. Regardless, Spooky my girl, your base game got 3rd place on last year's Game of the Year's list. Can you keep the ball rolling? Let's find out. So, this being nothing but DLC, it will be a lot shorter than a full review, and like Pony Island, I won't show stuff off due to special spoilers that we'll go into as we get there, but for now, let's dive into the easy stuff. The music. There's a few more extra tracks for the hospital, and like before, they are all really good and well composed and fit into the areas of the hospital to give the right areas the right atmosphere, and that's all I really can say on that. The graphics, again, pretty much the same as they were in the base game, with Spooky and her minions being the full Adventure Time style cartoon graphics, and the hospital itself having all of its rooms in the cartoony style, for the most part, with some more realistic graphics near the end for both the hospital and the certain creatures and boss-like monsters I won't spoil. Again, not much more I can say on this, as it's just DLC. For a more in-depth review, look at the Spooky's base game review. Moving on to the gameplay, once again, the same as the base game. You're in first person, you walk around, solve puzzles and go through multiple rooms, be it normally or running for your life to avoid Spooky's minions and bosses. So, not much to say there, but it worked in the original game, and why mess with a good thing? Well, you don't, and it continues to work here. And does the story of Spooky continue to hold up? Yeah. Spooky is still holding you hostage and likes to watch you suffer for her entertainment. Why mess with it? Again, you don't. Just do what the little ghost girl says, and again, it works. So, that's about it on everything for the most part. Barring the thing we are going to bring up now, that is the DLC itself, and the fact it costs money, and compare it to certain things like how FNAF 2 itself was basically the same game, only we messed around with the layout a bit and removed the doors, so really it should have just been a cheap DLC, or how Plague of Shadows is free, but has enough shit in it to class as its own game that people would pay for. So, does this hold up like Plague of Shadows? Or is it nothing more than a cheap cash-in that is the same as the original for a quick buck, like Five Nights at Funky Kong's? Well, this is an interesting one. You see, let's get the biggest thing out of the way first. The DLC is only an hour and a bit long. 2 hours at most if you're looking at everything. And it's £4, that's $5 in the US, which is naturally going to turn some people off. However, at least the devs are being honest about their plans. That is, the main game is and always will be free, and the DLC will be short and cost money, yes, but that money will be used to fund longer games that they plan. And depending on the games they make and how they come out, them being 6 to 10 hour long games, they could be a lot cheaper or free like their first game, Spooky, was. And I find this fantastic, as this is what DLC should be. A paid extra hour or two on a map, or a couple of cheap extra modes like Capture the Flag or Horde mode to keep you playing the game. And while the extra content might not be the longest or the greatest, it's fine, as you know that that extra couple of bucks is paying for a full new game. And being that it is a full new game, and that's what your money is going to be, paying for, that new game could be released for cheaper or even free as mentioned, with another big positive being that all of the DLC was worked on after the main game was finished and not carved off the main game, which is fantastic as it shows an extra level of effort and commitment, unlike most AAA companies that just slice off whole sections of games and serve them up later as $20 DLC, even though it should have been in the game to start off with. So this particular DLC definitely gets a pass in terms of effort and doing DLC the way it should be done, which brings us to the price point itself of £4, $5. Is that a good price? For newcomers, yes, as you still have the 5-hour base game for free to complete. And for returning spooky fans, yes, it's still worth it for a fun little experience, and considering the arrogance of some developers who are charging far more for less content, I think it's a certainly reasonable price. I mean, let's look at this. Okay, so here is Spooky, £4, and that nets us 2 hours. Now, let's look at this. This here is the full list of all of the 5 nights at Fraggle Rock. Each, barring the first one, £5.59, an extra £1.59 over Spooky for less content, as each night is 6 hours long, and 1 hour in game equals 1 minute, so each night is 6 minutes long, so 6 times 5 equals 30 minutes. Add an extra 10 minutes on for the secret night 6 and 7, there's 40 minutes, and maybe an extra 10 minutes for the secret Atari minigame shit, 15 if we're being generous, and each one is only 50 to 55 minutes long, barely scraping half of what Spooky's Hospital is, and it's the same game in the same setting of Frederick Flintstone's pizzeria. At least Spooky knew that her mansion was done and took us somewhere new for the DLC. So, in terms of the amount of content, even if you're a returning Spooky fan that's done the 5 hours in her mansion, then yes, it's still worth the price, unlike the 4 exact same games of 5 Nights in Fanfiction, which leads us pretty much onto the final verdict. I mean, what else can I say about a fun 2 hour long DLC that's being used to fund the next big game except the big explanation and roundup? So, my final verdict for Spooky's DLC of the Nightmare Hospital is a fun, but still average 3 out of 5. Yes, everything is still here. The music, the creativity, the cute but twisted atmosphere, the solid gameplay, and doing everything right when it comes to adding on to a world and or story with the DLC. Unlike MatPat's Wet Dream, it knows that it does not have to have a complex story. It's just Spooky, and Spooky is not done playing with her new toy. So after clearing her mansion, it's back into the elevator you go, and down you go to the lowest level of the basement, and the lowest level of the hospital that Spooky's house was built on top of, to try and get to the top floor, aka the ground floor, and escape to freedom. Simple! There's no extra bollocks lore that's hidden away by clip art, even though it probably isn't and Scott's just making the whole thing up. No, it's a simple add-on of, my house was built on top of a hospital, and you're going there because I'm not done watching you suffer, and it's fun to watch your torment. Bang! Nice and simple. And also, unlike MatPat's Wet Dream, getting the idea of adding little features in, right, here's an extra hospital level for £4 with a few extra monsters and stuff. Unlike 5 Nights at Fousticorns, which will make a whole extra game for some 5-minute tat that should be nothing more than DLC. Oh, Springtrap and a few shitty minigames? Well, it could be £2.50, £3 DLC, but nah, let's bullshit it up and say that it takes place in the future. Then I can sell it for full price. £5.59 please. So yes, all the pieces are once again in place for Spooky. The little story it has is still creative and fun. The gameplay is the same, but again, still good. The music is spot on once more, and it does the thing of doing DLC right for the right price. But its down points are it's still very short, and while you have been very clear about what the money is going towards, which is great, as clarity is key in situations like this where you're asking people to trust you with their money and saying that you're going to do something with that money, well, you have not yet. I know that that is unfair to say, as this only came out a few days ago, but I did say this to the Albino Lullaby team. Albino Lullaby was their first game, but they were asking people to pre-order all 3 parts of the story, even though this was their first part and their first game, and they might not even make part 2 as it could flop. It didn't, and there is a part 2 coming out, but this is your first DLC pack, and you're asking people to trust you with their money, and then you're saying that that money will go towards a new full game, and that trust has not been earned. And the other thing is, to everyone else, while the 2-hour hospital is a nice little add-on, it still falls short when compared to Spooky's Mansion itself, so you might be a little bit disappointed. All this being said, of course, if the devs pull through and we get a full game that is good next year, you know, giving them time to get funds and make it, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing, and this entire paragraph will be revoked, as you did what you said you were going to do. I mean, I trust you, it's the others that you have to convince. So, to wrap up, is Spooky's Hospital good? Yes. Is it worth the price? Yes. Is it as good as the original Mansion? No. Would you like more of it? Maybe 1 or 2 more of this type of game for a bit of extra funding, but no more than that, or it'll get stale very fast like Five Nights at Francine's did. I mean, if you made a game called, like, I don't know, Spooky's World Tour, and it played like them music levels from Rayman Legends, then I'm all for it. As, yes, it's spooky, but it's in a different environment and a different style of gameplay. Ubisoft! And I'm all for it, hence why I'm not judging Five Nights at Frazzle's World too harshly, as a tonal shift and different style of gameplay might lessen the blow from the hammer that I'm going to take to its head. But in terms of the walk around, being scared by cute things, yeah, sure, 1 or 2 more, like in her garden maze, greenhouse area, and then maybe 1 in a swimming pool, water temple area, but that's it really, because that would be everything that would be around a mansion. And yes, the walk around being scared by cute things was funny and creative in 2015, a year of shitty FNAF clones, but it's now 2016, and we're all going to try and move past that, aren't we, children? And for you, Spooky, I don't want you to become the new Five Nights at Frisks. So, yeah, 3 out of 5. It's not too much, but if you're a fan of Spooky, then it's worth the asking price and worth checking out. But please don't make too many more and end up like Five Nights at Funsters. Also, I'm not joking, Ubisoft, about the Granny Grumblewish World Tour thing. Come on, you know you want to go back and finish this because everybody wants it. Everybody loves the music stages from Rayman Legends, and being a full music game, you don't even have to stick to one genre anymore. Dragon Force, Heroes of Our Time, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication, The Eagles, Hotel California, Simon and Garfunkel, Scarborough Fair, The Cartoons, Witch Doctor, Lorene McKennitt, The Mummer's Dance. The possibilities are endless. Hell, you don't even have to do licensed songs, seems you remove the lyrics anyway. I know plenty of indie devs and artists that would love the songs in the Granny's World Tour. Shantae, Dance Through the Danger, Toby Fox, Megalovania. That would be an awesome level to see in the World Tour. Daniel Mulligan's Enter the Pony, Mando Pony, My Home, Nate Wants to Battle, Dawn of the Third Day. Come on, Ubisoft! Make this happen like you were going to. You can even release DLC packs that have like 10 extra levels every so often, like Rock Band or Guitar Hero, for the people that want them. Or even download your... No, because you'd have to make full Rayman levels, but never mind. You know you want to. Now make it happen. Then, also, if you can get Nintendo to release Captain Rainbow over here as well, that'd be fantastic. Thank you, Ubisoft.